Update: my wife told me I'm replaceable. Original post: I, 30 male, have been married to my wife, 29 female, for 2 years, and we have known each other for 6. A few weeks ago, we had an argument, and during our disagreement, she told me that I am replaceable. After our argument, she went out with her friends. I have been dealing with some health problems for a while, and the argument stressed me out, leaving me nervous and unwell. I was alone in the house and decided to call the paramedics because I felt that something was really wrong. To sum up, I suffered a heart attack. In hospital, they tried to reach my wife, but she didn't respond, likely still upset from our argument. She called later after coming home when she found out that I'm not there. After learning of my condition, she came to see me and stayed with me the entire time, constantly crying and holding my hands. After being sent home, she did everything so I could recover faster. However, despite her efforts, I couldn't stop thinking about how she had told me that I'm replaceable. I constantly think about it. I want to confront her about it, but I don't think I'm ready. I'm trying to understand why context matters. In what way or situation is it acceptable to call your partner replaceable? The audacity to even say something like that is beyond me. Edit: I will answer some things here. We have no children. I have genetic health problems. External factors also contributed to my problems. I have higher salary than her, so I mostly pay the bills or buy things for our home. I mostly cook and clean. She does it too, but mostly me. It's not 50-50, more like 60-40. She isn't actively trying to end me. I hope so, at least. I don't know if she's cheating. Let's also address the elephant in the room. We had argument about our house, some issues with it. After that, we also discussed our priorities, careers, and intimacy. At one point, discussion was replaced by her venting and saying things not even related to original discussion. I had no issues with her ranting about things until she told me that I'm replaceable. That was the end of conversation. I no longer wanted to talk. She finds my silence terrifying, but she didn't stay in the house for long after argument. I don't know when she came home. I woke up in the hospital and she was there. She kept crying and holding my hands. She didn't speak much. She couldn't. Now for the top comments before reading the updates. You can forgive her for what she said, but you will never forget how she made you feel in the moment. This is why we don't name call or let our anger overwhelm our kindness. It is okay to be angry, but to be cruel is not acceptable. I'm going to piggyback on this comment because of this comment. You can forgive her for what she said, but you will never forget how she made you feel. Tuesday, June 23rd, 2015, I came home after working 15 hours. My wife was home and fairly intoxicated. She was super mad at me for some reason and started tearing into me. She then uttered a phrase, "I'll take your kids and make you pay." That sentence changed the dynamic of our relationship forever. She has no idea, as I've never brought this up. You can forgive her, but you will never forget how you felt. Yeah, in the early 2000s, my marriage began to fall apart the moment we had a discussion, not even an argument, about finances and work. And she dismissed my being stressed out with, "Well, your job's not as important as mine, so I don't see why you're so stressed." I didn't get into it with her because at least on one level, she was right. Social work is more important than working for an insurance company. But her being so dismissive really made me open my eyes. I started to realize that I was essentially an accessory and a means to an end, and that my real value to her was an attempt to beat her younger sister to life milestones, like husband/house/baby. I started actually noticing every time she'd overrule my opinions or wants. Started withdrawing, and eventually we began to resent each other and finally divorced. Thankfully without house or baby. I can't imagine what it would have been like trying to co-parent with her. My husband once said to me, "Wives are replaceable, mothers are not. Mom will always win." Within the year, our 9-year marriage collapsed. The context was finding out how deeply involved his mother was in our marriage, arguments, decisions, etc. We were not arguing, but having a discussion about how it wasn't right to basically have a third person in the marriage, that it was between the two of us. The way I found out was during a discussion about investments we had made. I got up from the table we were talking at and found his phone on a counter with Mom showing on screen. He'd called her and had her listen in to our discussion so he could take it to her after we were done. I disconnected the call without comment and she called back immediately. He vehemently disagreed that it wasn't right and made that statement to me. basically stating that it was he and his mom against me and I'd always lose, while she was still on the phone listening in. It was like a gut punch. It opened my eyes to a lot of little things that eventually led to filing for divorce. He was stunned. His mom called me immediately and said, "You can't do that." Well, yes, I can, and did. As a petty move, I served his mother the divorce papers at the same time, so she could be involved in the divorce. Lol. $50 well spent in my opinion. She came to our hearing and was so vocal about what she thought was right or wrong that the judge ordered her out of the courtroom. Lol. He's her full-time problem now. They've been living together since the separation, and she's miserable about it. They deserve each other. +1 for serving her divorce papers. Halfway reading this, I was wondering that exact thing, and you actually did it. You are awesome. Hope life is treating you well. Life is pretty sweet, but it did take a while to get there. Divorce is hard, no matter how much it needs to happen. I grew up in a Chinese household. My mother and brother are always together. When my ex-sister-in-law moved into our house, my mom wouldn't let her step into my brother's room. She even slept in my brother's bedroom some nights, saying she was afraid that my ex-sister-in-law would sneak into the room. She micromanaged every aspect of my brother's life, and I think he loved it, until my ex-sister-in-law couldn't stand it and left. Luckily, I'm a daughter, and she couldn't care less about me. But the thought of me having to marry into a family like mine is just terrifying. God forbid her married son sleep with his own wife. I'm glad she got out. Mini update. On a side note, some people in this comment section have some issues themselves. Like some of the comments are just wild, horrifying. I've decided to separate for a month. We will go to a counselor and speak maybe 1 to 2 times a week. If she cares about me, she will accept it and do everything she can to improve our relationship and marriage. If she starts playing around, going out on dates, or if I suspect her of cheating, I will end it. There won't be any forgiveness or second chances. I will make an update post sometime in the future. So many of you reached out and offered support and advice. I think the least I can do is provide you with the update. Thank you all very much. Now for the full update. As promised, here's an update in my situation. I won't go into much detail, just the most important things. Physically, I'm doing great. I've started working out again, although at a slower pace than before. With time, it will get better. Separation really helped me a lot. Firstly, I might sound selfish, but I only worried about myself, so I did everything for myself. At first, it was a different feeling. I felt alone for the first time in a really long time, and I needed a few days to get used to it. After I got used to it, it was actually quite nice. I got to do whatever I wanted whenever I wanted. I bought myself a lot of things, redecorated a bit, changed some old things. And honestly, I liked it. There was no stress, no arguments, no problems. It was peaceful and quiet. I also got myself a cat, and the two of us got along really well. I spoke to my wife on a weekly basis. We also went to a counselor, which really changed a lot of things. Whenever we went there, I laid all cards on the table. I was really honest, maybe too honest, and I said a lot of things that had accumulated over time. Every annoyance, issue, pretty much everything I thought could be way better. My wife took the separation really hard. It was really bad. For the first few days, she was fine, or she pretended to be, but as time progressed, it was clear she wasn't doing well. What I did was whenever we went to a counselor, I focused only in trying to figure out my marriage and issues with it. But as soon as I left the counselor, I checked out. Like a switch. I didn't want to bring any of it home and disturb my peace. My wife also started individual therapy for her own mental health and issues that have been present for some time. I asked her if she cheated on me, and honestly, I expected some outburst of rage or yelling. But there wasn't any of it. She was really sweet and told me no, and that she understands why I might think that, and she offered her phone and her social media accounts for me to check. For some reason, I decided to be a prick, and I told her that maybe she deleted and covered her tracks. She has no proof of anything. Again, no yelling or anything, just a really sad look in her eyes. I realized that I went too far, and I apologized. Time passed, and I decided to let it go. So I told her that I forgive her and that I will give her another chance. Honestly, I wanted some form of revenge, but while revenge might be sweet, everything after it is bitter. I also told her that I won't forget her words. Anyway, she came back to my house and everything changed. No longer am I doing most of the stuff. She now works just as hard, maybe even more than me, and she doesn't allow me to do certain things, much to my annoyance. We will continue going to a counselor for a little bit longer, and she's still going to her individual therapy. While I liked being alone, I truly missed her. I missed her hair, her smile, her eyes, and now I find myself looking at her and paying attention to everything she does. I guess separation made us appreciate each other way more than before. Maybe we took each other for granted, and we didn't value each other until we split. I think we fell in love again. I can't describe it, but each hug, each touch feels different, like it radiates with sincerity and love. As for the future, I'm planning a trip in secret as a surprise, so we can go out of town for a few days, just the two of us. Time alone really helped me relax and not worry about unimportant things. I focused on myself and what I want my marriage to be and my life. So now I'm going to work towards that. We really learned to communicate much better than before. We became much more open towards each other, more vulnerable. I think it will help us going forward. I guess after all, it turns out that I'm not so easily replaceable. Happy to hear you guys are able to work things out. It was a tough tunnel to go through, but the relationship seems to have gotten stronger on the other side, and that's awesome. It was a blessing in disguise. We are still working on it, and we will continue to do so. Things are way better than they used to be. There are still some differences and things we need to work on, or at least find a middle ground, which will probably be resolved in future counseling sessions. I just hope she realizes how close she came to losing you multiple times in a very short time. I hope she understands this could have had a much worse ending. Good on you for being willing to put in the work and growing yourself. Best wishes going forward. Sounds like you're happier single. I'm not really clear why you went back to your wife. At any rate, good luck. Wish you the best. Indeed, I was, for a time, that I felt something was missing. People sometimes say things they don't mean in the heat of the moment. She did it too. I think it was fair to both of us. Some time apart from each other really helped us figure out what each of us wants and what we mean to each other. Life is better when you get to share it with somebody. Last story. Am I the a-hole for my reaction after finding out my ex cheated on me? So I have been with my ex Lara for 6 years, and we were living together since 3. Our relationship was amazing, at least in my point of view. We were deeply in love, romantic to each other, had arguments even heated, but we always solved everything by talking to each other. So for real, no problems until 2 weeks ago. Recently, I noticed a few things that were off. Like Lara being overprotective with her phone, going in another room while talking with people. But since it all started 4 months ago, I didn't pay too much attention, because she always said that she was preparing a surprise for a best friend, so I didn't insist. Long story short, I caught her cheating at my house 2 weeks ago, while I came back from work because I forgot my phone. My reaction wasn't being mad, screaming, shouting, or any of these things, but I just told the guy to put some clothes on and leave, and to Lara that we were over and wanted to break up immediately. I said all of this calmly without raising my voice or screaming. Lara was the one screaming, crying, and begging me to forgive her, but I just kept saying to pack her stuff and leave my house. So after 2 hours of this pathetic show, she left. That day I went to work, later obviously, but it wasn't the worst day of my life. It was just a bad day like others. 2 days ago, I went on a date with another girl and I hope to a second date. We are planning, so hopes are very high, haha. My friends and family told me that my reaction was strange, because they expected more from me. Because I just moved on fast from Lara's cheating like I didn't care at all about her, stating my calm and cold reaction. I have a very particular point of view in cheaters, and maybe that's why. In my particular case, the screaming, shouting, crying, getting angry, and mad to me weren't useful at all. Because they don't bring me anything of good, nor will they relieve my pain and suffering, so I do something that doesn't bring me anything of good. I mean, she cheated by her choice. We broke up and that's all. Why should I cry, get mad, or angry because Lara cheated on me? She's just a loser and took the consequences of her actions. And to me, that's all. Obviously, in these 2 weeks, Lara's talked to me on social media and texted me and called me like 100 times, but I don't care. I never blocked her and probably would never do, because like I said, it didn't bring me anything of good or bad. I'm just indifferent to it. And a bit because I like to see people humiliating themselves. Lol. So all of this being said, am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. The opposite of love isn't hate. It's indifference. You're handling it like a man's man. The way you reacted probably hurt her more than anything else. Not the a-hole, but I wouldn't assume that you really cared about the relationship if it hasn't really affected you. You caught your girlfriend with another man in your house and went to work like nothing happened. You could absolutely get mad and cry because you loved this person that you put trust in and spent years with and were betrayed. That would bring out rage and ugly cries in most, if not all, people. And yes, crying and getting your feelings out can absolutely help you feel better. Not sure how to explain this, but all of that is the reaction those pathetic people who cheat are looking for. It's not all men, but a good segment of us just gets indifferent. The feeling we had, that fire and desire for you, got snuffed out the moment we figured it out. Call it cold or whatever, but some guys do just function this way. I had one ex when I was in my teens. It was the whole F you screaming match. Another ex, it was this. I just shrugged it off, told them to GTFO and never talked to them again. Did it suck? Sure. But I can't put the toothpaste back in the tube. I can only control me and my actions. Not the a-hole. You handled it like a mature adult. I don't understand why people make a big show of it and go off the deep end. There's always someone else out there. They may or may not treat you better, but it is certainly not the end of the world. Because people put a lot of work and planning into life with a partner, and this thing most humans have called emotions. I'm not sure what you are on about, but the practical application is that people struggle with made-up concepts like true love, fate, destiny, etc., and can't remove themselves from this and think objectively. And when someone cheats, all of that fantasy is squashed. The facade of love is gone. Move on. The most ridiculous thing is engaging in a physical battle with a man that is cheating with your girlfriend or wife. The man didn't have some magical power or aura that tricked someone into cheating. It was a decision by your partner to engage. They could have rebuffed the advances. Why lose sleep over someone like this? The future is brighter. People have a fear of the unknown. If you move to a new city, you will find a partner. You will find another in your own city if you break up. Everyone is capable of finding love anywhere, anytime. The next relationship could be better or it could be worse. People have to get over the irrational fear and quit allowing themselves to be trapped in bad relationships. It's easier to stay and ignore real issues because of the perception of failure, fear, and other internal issues. The biggest hurdle and complication is children. If that is not a factor, then you should explore relationships until you are as happy as you feel you need to be.